Hey there, it's Wendy Bjork, and I decided today's the day. Today's the day I'm going to go back to when I was 16 and tell you about how all of this began with MS. It came on, I think, kind of suddenly, where just a simple hot bath would trigger it. And like I said, I was like 16 and just thinking that it was possible something was wrong with me, it was just so overwhelming. And it wasn't anything that the doctors consider major. It was just some tingling and weakness in my legs from just taking a hot bath. And when I tell my doctor, they didn't think anything of it. And this went on for years, just year after year, the same kind of symptoms, the tingling. My feet would be tingling or numb, kind of like having wool socks on all the time. All right, hang on. MS bladder. So I'll be right back. So back to like 1985. I would tell my doctors during my sports physical that I was having this weird feelings, these weird creepy crawly feelings in my legs and in my feet. And we live in Wisconsin, so we have snow in the winter. And when people come in the house, they track snow in with them on their boots. And I'd be standing in our entryway, and my dad would say, "You're standing in a puddle of snow melting." Like, I had no idea. So that was really the beginning. And I mean, maybe even back to when I started having migraines. Those started happening when I was 13. So are they connected? I don't know. Maybe that's a brain. It's in your brain as well. And you just think about like chain of events when things happen. Are they all connected or are they completely separate? But I have a history of autoimmune. My grandmother had horrible rheumatoid arthritis. I don't know if that was directly related to me, if I just have this proper gene makeup that now I'm predisposed to having MS. It's all such a mystery, and in my research and reading, MS goes back to like 1395. That's like the Middle Ages. So it's been happening for over 600 years, and there's still really no system, no way to address it. And I think there's a lot that can be done. But for me, it took 6 years for the doctors to figure out that it was MS. Because they tried to attribute it to Lyme's disease, because I live in Lyme's disease country. And all these symptoms overlap each other. And I think there isn't just a one sheet where they could say, oh, you have numb feet. You feel like there's bugs in your feet. You're tripping and falling. You're stumbling over your words, stumbling over your feet. You're doing all these things. And that would be the easy way to diagnose people. And even though they did an MRI, which in the early 90s, that was still new technology. And it definitely wasn't anything being used for diagnosing anything. So even if I did have the white spots on my brain, but they said normal people do too, that don't have anything wrong. So that's why it's confusing for us as patients and for the doctors. It's just such a jumble of symptoms that doesn't make any sense. And I don't know. I'm hoping that someday they will have an easy way to diagnose it. An easier way for people to know what they have to deal with for the rest of their life. The symptoms don't go away just because you get a diagnosis. So I think the more we talk about it, the more we speak up, it all has to help. And I think I saw 6 neurologists to finally get a diagnosis. That's 6 doctors starting over with your whole entire story. Even though you take your MRI films with you wherever you go, you still have to start at the beginning. I mean, that's exhausting too. It's all exhausting. And then having people tell you that you look fine. There's nothing wrong with you because you threw on some makeup and some clean clothes, so there's nothing wrong with you, really. It's all really disheartening when you're treated like that. And even when the doctors tell you, well, you're so young, you can't have that. You can't have anything wrong. I think we just need a complete overhaul of how this is approached, because what they're doing now isn't helping anybody. So, the 6-year mark, I'm diagnosed. I'm 22 now. I'm done with college, working full time, and I do have something big happen. The big thing they were waiting for. The big event. Then they can diagnose me. So I have the big event, and it's like stroke symptoms. It's like someone had their hand over my mouth. I can think the words, I can't say them. So now I'm scared crapless. Like, what is wrong with me now? And instead of calling 911, which I probably should have, I just went in the bathroom and just sat down on a chair just to calm myself down, because I think what triggered it was an angry customer at my new job was screaming at me because he wasn't getting his way with a claim. So we put ourselves through things to make other people happy, but we're just ruining our own health in the process. So I think it's very important to be discerning on what you're doing with your time, who you're spending your time with, and just take each day as a new reset. I didn't do that. It would have really helped me. And now that I'm almost 35 years into this, just looking back on things that I could have done differently. But we can't be looking backwards, because you can't live in the past. You have to just keep learning and going forward. So a few years after my diagnosis, I had multiple attacks or relapses or whatever you want to call it, where we know the myelin gets damaged and then it's gone and it's not coming back. And this time, in that next set, it affected my bladder. So I don't have much warning. If I need to go to the bathroom, like, I gotta go now. And I know this is common with a lot of people with MS, but nobody can talk about it because it's freaking embarrassing. Who wants to talk about potentially not making it to the bathroom? Nobody. Because we're adults, not little kids. So listening to your body is really important, and honoring your body. But at the same time, we have to take care of it. So we have to drink water, and then that just lands us in the bathroom more. But I think the more we do it, we have to keep ourselves hydrated. And if you're on medications, you have to keep yourself flushed out, because you can't let that stuff just sit in your kidneys. So you need to be drinking a lot of water, 1/2 gallon at least a day. And I think as the years went on, it was like you just don't even want to talk about it, even at the doctor, because they just throw some drugs at you or some new medications to try, and then you have other side effects, and you're just on this hamster wheel, just going back and forth. You know, whether you see the doctor every 3 or 6 or 12 months, you just get this short window where you can talk to them, and some of them don't even listen. Honestly, you're just a number. So I think I was 25 when I started having more problems and more balance problems, and realizing that my immune system was really sensitive. If I overdid it, I could just tell. I could tell I might get a cold. I had a really bad relapse. I had an uncle pass away suddenly, and then I got an optic neuritis in one of my eyes. And you can probably tell because one of them looks kind of googly now. So I could barely see out of that eye. I could kind of see, but I couldn't read. I'd just close one eye if I needed to read. And it took probably 2 months to go away, for those nerves to calm down and to get back to normal. And I think back to that, I wasn't listening to my body. I was stressed to the max. And that's when stuff happens with outward symptoms. And all along this journey, I'm in my early 20s. I want to have fun. I want to have fun with my friends. I want to go out. I want to go to parties, go out for dinner. And yeah, we had a few drinks, and that made it so much worse. I mean, it would hit me like instantly. It was like the cheapest date ever. One beer and I'm done. But I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to just be labeled like I was disabled, so I didn't even tell anybody. Nobody knew what I was dealing with. They just thought I was extra tipsy or couldn't handle my alcohol. And really, until the last 5 years, I didn't talk about this on any social media. None of my friends knew what I was dealing with because it was easier. Because I didn't want a pity party. I didn't want anybody saying, "Oh, Wendy, I'm sorry you have that." Well, yeah, we're all sorry, but that's beside the point. There's lessons in everything. There's lessons everywhere in our lives. And we're never given anything more than we can handle. So now I'm in my 30s, still working full time, still stressing myself out, and I get married again, and I wanted kids, which I knew was going to tire me out, but I knew it would be worth it. So I had my kids 2 years apart, and after my second baby was born, I'm still working full time. And even though I was working at home part of the time, I was still working over 40 hours a week and just pushing until I had a really bad attack. I looked like I had a broken back. I could barely walk. My neurologist said either you change something or you're going to be in a wheelchair. So this was about 17 years ago. And he didn't really tell me what to change. And I didn't want him to see me crying. I just wanted to get the frick out of that office. So I just kept going, just kept doing what I was doing, and just really thought about how to change things. I mean, I changed a few things, but I'm never sleeping because my legs are moving all night long, because the bugs and whatever else feeling that is just doesn't go away, no matter how many pills you take that the doctor gives you. And I think by not listening to what my body's trying to tell me, I just incurred a whole lot more damage. A lot of collateral damage that's never going to get better. So we just need to, like I said, really listen to our heart, listen to our inner guidance. We all have an inner GPS, and we just need to listen to that. We need to listen to the answers that come through. I knew I shouldn't be working full time, but what do? You have bills to pay, you have payments, you have to keep going. I think now it's better. Yes, I worked from home a little bit. I had a VPN and I tapped into the office, but that wasn't common back then. It is now. I mean, that if you can find a job where you work at home, I think that would help a lot, especially if you have issues where you do need to run to the bathroom all the time after you drink something. Having that less stress of being around people all day long, critiquing you and criticizing you and judging you. I think that all helps. I think the least amount of stress that we can be under is best. So I think this all just kind of snowballed, starting back in 1985. It's like maybe it just was a snowman. Let's call it that. You have your first symptoms, which are questionable. Like, what is it? Is it MS? Is it lupus? What is it? And then you just keep stacking this stuff up. And stacking and stacking and stacking until it all kind of collapses around you. And I think just knowing what I know now is why I'm just here to share with others that you're not alone. And I know nobody wants a pity party. And I know as soon as you say what you have, what you deal with, people want to give you advice. They want to give you solutions. They want to tell you what their cousins, brother-in-laws, mother's, aunt, took for MS, and she was cured and healed and walked again and whatever. But MS is funny. I mean, you can be fine now, and 10 minutes later, you might just be toast. You might want to go take a nap. So it's just so variable. And you might be talking fine, and all of a sudden you take two words and you mix them up, and it sounds like complete nonsense. And people will laugh at you, but it's not your fault. It's not your fault, and nobody should be laughing at you. Nobody should be judging you, but that's just human nature. So you just need to put your earmuffs on, your invisible earmuffs, and ignore them, because you can't let yourself get down. You have to keep going. You have to keep being you. Be the person that you came here to be, and know that you are here for a purpose and a reason. And like I said before, we're never given anything more than we can handle. And I know there's people that have MS and cancer and all kinds of other illnesses all stacked on top of each other. But there's ways that we can make our lives better. That's the goal. That's the whole end goal, is just make our lives better. And the bonus is if we can create a ripple effect to make someone else's life better. Because that's how we create change, is by being the ripple effect. And showing the doctors that we have questions. We have questions and we want answers. You should always ask your doctor before you leave your appointment, what am I not asking that I should be? What's a question that I'm not asking that I should be? And that should make them pause. That should make them pause. That should make them say, what am I doing for this patient? Am I serving them the best? Hopefully that's what they would do. So I just wanted to give you a little background on a little bit of what I've been through. I know it's hard to think back through all of it, because I try not to dwell on the past. I try to just keep going forward. So drumming up a lot of these occurrences, if it helps somebody, then that's fabulous and fantastic. Because I know with MS, you can have symptoms of all different levels. And sometimes we have stuff happen and we blame it on MS, but it doesn't have anything to do with it. So that's why finding a good neurologist, finding a good doctor that listens to you, that answers your questions, that sees you, hears you, respects you, is so important. Even if you have the best neurologist in the world, the best MS specialist, and they treat you like crap, like a number, just get out of there, because they're not going to help you. They don't really have their heart in it. They have to have their heart in it to care enough to see you succeed. And there's always tips for moving forward. I'm all about small steps. Just give me the small steps. Don't give me a big list, because first of all, I won't remember after the first two things you tell me. Second of all, small steps, I think, are what really creates change, no matter what we're doing. So I would really love for you to check out my next video on the 4 steps I have for you to help you in this journey. And I will be putting more up because I've decided that there's so much that's happened in 35 years that it's time to create a series. Time to document it because I know it'll help others. There's millions of people living with MS, and I believe this is my way of helping everyone. So I would love for you to reply down below. Let me know other videos that you would like to see, other topics you'd like to see me talk about. I'm an open book. I'm not afraid to talk about any of it. It's life. And whatever we have to talk about to create awareness is what we need to talk about. So I would love for you to, like I said, make a comment and let me know how I can help you. So it's time for another bathroom break, and I will see you next time. Have an amazing day and take care. Bye-bye.